Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me are co-hosts Garrett Punchy Dill and Dennis Brown. We have one of our special guests, Mr. Kenneth Can Sr., and we are awaiting the arrival of Mr. Dennis Wainwright. Dennis Brown, I'm
Yes,
going to
sir.
let you lead this off because you have quite a bit of a history with Mr. Can, and I think people will be very interested to hear a bit of a conversation between you two about the heydays
Yeah,
of Mr. Kenny Can.
it's a great, and I would say a good night, everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce this gentleman, a giant of a gentleman in my eyes, because like I told you guys earlier, like he was a guy who looked out for me when I was growing up in Somerset. My father was in and out of my life, and I was real tight with his son Kenny Jr. And um, Kenny and I were in the same class at West End. At times we were demons too. We weren't all um, prissy. We were real demons at times. Kenny Jr. also got me in trouble, but I'll keep that to myself. We weren't set out to be criminals. One time we went to a variety store in Somerset, a very popular variety store, and we borrowed two mangoes, and and actually sat right outside the shop and ate the mangoes. So Kenny pricked on me, and I pricked on him. So yeah, him and his son and I go way back, and like I said, I owe so much of my life in a positive manner to Mr. Ken. He used to take us to football games. He used to take us to cricket games. And like I said earlier, they used to have the international double wicket competition. I remember that like it was yesterday, and he participated in that. He said he came fourth one year and came second one year. So it's a pleasure for me to ask him some questions, because he was a hero of mine um, growing up, and also I wanted to be so much like him, because he was a center back. He was also the Somerset captain. I believe he was the MVP of the league. So it was so much that I wanted to emulate, of being like him. The only thing that I didn't emulate was my bad head. My because I never saw Mr. Can get angry. Like even like when I started the prison in 1985, he was there, and even in the prison, I never saw Mr. Can get angry. So that was something that I was always amazed at. Even in adverse situations, he always was able to maintain a composure and assurance to everybody else. So I have so much to be thankful for having Mr. Can in my life as a young man. So, my first question to Mr. Can: when did your football journey start? In as when you were a young man growing up.
Um, I started playing in 1955 at 14 years old, playing for West End Rovers B team. At that time, they had A teams and B teams in most of the clubs. And I started with people like Bayfield Clark, Nellie Bregman, Carl Swan, Francis Durant, Albert Stevens. I don't think any of you know him,
No.
but I was 14 when I started.
And who was one of your biggest influences around that time coming through the West End
Around that
Rovers?
time was people like Bert Bascom,
Yeah. Okay.
Vivian Goodchild, Erskine Brangman. All these guys are the guys who encouraged me to play. those days you didn't have coaches.
Okay.
You know, you you just went to the field and maybe 20 aside
Wow. That's how you learn.
playing and playing. And then you were selected to play for the B team or the A team, and you turned out, well, we played on Thursdays during that time.
Yes. Okay.
So you, in fact, when I started, they gave me a jersey and a pair. I don't know if you ever seen the high top boots with
Yes.
crossbars and the big toes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That
they
was
used to
my
have this.
first pair of boots.
Okay.
All right, let me jump in. Punchy, we do have Mr. Dennis Wainwright on.
Yes,
You have an early question for Mr. Wainwright. First of
I
all, good
do. I
evening, Mr.
do.
Wainwright. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Wainwright. And Mr. Kenny Can. You say you started playing football in 1955. That was the year I was born. Well, there you go. Well, there
Okay.
you go.
It's a good
But I
year.
got to see you play. Good evening, Mr. Good evening to both of you, distinguished gentlemen. It's such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. Yes, it was such a pleasure.
They
Mr. Wainwright, it's
lost the
great to have you on
song. I
the
can't
show.
hear it.
Yes.
Yes, it's great. What the question I want to start over with you, Mr. Wainwright. I know you started. You played in such a great team. I do the social club. Am I correct?
Yeah, that was the last team I played for.
Oh, okay. Tell me, give us a history of the teams that you did play for, and how your goalkeeping career went.
Well, I started with Flats Tigers. I went to Harrington Sound School, and I was a little puny guy. Uh, when Flats Tigers first started, I was too young to play, but I used to go out when they practice and kick the ball about and so forth. I played for my school, and I was a very good friend with Eddie Wright. Some of you might remember him.
Yeah. Yeah.
80 was old football, but my intentions was to play cricket because my family was cricket. Nobody played football in my family. So 80 encouraged me to play football, and I encouraged him to play cricket. So when it became, they felt that I was old enough or strong enough, they included me in the side. My very first match at Sports Arena, I injured my knee, and I was carried off the field. And according to the doctor, I wasn't to play any more football. Dr. Williams was somebody you might remember him. Dr. Williams was my doctor. But Dr. King was the football doctor. So Dr. Williams told me I wasn't to play any more football because I had torn ligaments. And so some of the players said, look, go to Dr. King. So what he says, I went to Dr. King, and we used to call Dr. King the Menard Sliderman. Menard Sliderman doctor. So he slapped your knee and go and put some ice on it and some hot towels and ice and rub it down with Menard Sliderman. So I did exactly what he said, and I kept it up. And as the knee got a little stronger, I started hopping around and go. The guys would kick the ball, and I would pick it out of the back of the net. And I said, I think I like this position. So I continued to get a little more serious, try to stop them. And our goalkeeper at the time was Donald Smith. Somebody might remember him. He's called him Dorcas.
Yes.
And he was a very good goalkeeper. He was going to Berkeley at the time. So we had this cup match on a Sunday. And Dorcas was a Sunday school teacher at Morrison. And he couldn't play. So the fellas was mumbling among themselves, who can be put in goal? And Ryan Chips Tucker, I'll never forget him. He said, put Dennis in goal. And when they asked me, I was so surprised. And I went in and I had a good match. I think it was against Southampton Rangers. This was B division. I had a good match. And I decided, look, I think I like this position. So I worked a little harder. And the fellas felt that they could use Donald out on the field and I could stay in goal. So Donald became a good left winger and I became the goalkeeper.
Okay.
I see. Oh, that's how it happened. Okay. I like that. And Mr. Cam, I know, so I think that the terminology of Silver City came about with you guys' success, your era of success. I think that's where Silver City started. What was so special about the guys that you played with? And what was so special about it? And about the coach, who was in charge of you guys at the time?
Is that Dennis still talking?
No,
Dennis.
punchy.
Oh, something wrong
I
with
don't know, but I'm losing the sound.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm saying is
But
that for you,
It
I know you
goes
played in a
and
great.
comes.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What I was asking, the question I asked is the team that you played in, Silver City. It was named after you guys. I'm sure of that. That what was so special about the team and some of the players that you played alongside of?
I think it was the closeness of the players, the camaraderie between us, and we all had the same goals.
Okay. And who was the coach at the time?
Conrad Simons was the coach, and he was a very disciplined. Was his number one thing.
It's discipline. Oh. Uh-huh.
Discipline.
Oh.
You wanted to play,
I-
you had to train.
Oh, okay. Conrad Simons. I know his name is mentioned a lot when it comes to Simons and the success, But I know for a fact that I think you were captain of the team, weren't you at times? Yep.
No, Rudy Minus was captain.
Oh, okay.
I was vice captain.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I always remember you being your calmness.
It's a strange
and-
thing because he was captain of Somerset, that I was captain of Bermuda.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that was crazy.
But there you go. Right? Thank you very much for those answers. Thank you very much.
Well, Dennis, let me ask you, what did you see in
The sun is still going and coming.
yeah. Mr. Wainwright, what did you see in someone like Kenny Can as you were a player or even on the sideline at times?
Well, Kenny Can, I played with Kenny Can as I remember. I don't remember playing with Kenny Can when I was with Fletch Tigers or Wellington Rovers. I remember Kenny Can when I played with Social Club. Kenny was a very fit person. In fact, all the Summers guys were very fit, which I admired, and very determined, and was a good reader of the game. In fact, I got my second serious injury from Kenny Can. And most people remember that match. The shot came in on me, and I caught it, and I was in a crouching position, bent over, and Kenny ran into me. I know his head hit me in my eyebrow, cracked my eye. I still have this scar today.
He was trying to take you out for a cup match.
Yeah.
That match never finished because it was almost, I wouldn't say a riot, but it was almost it was a disturbance.
Oh, wow.
And the goal bar got broken, and then was a little fight on the field, and So the match was, I think, the match was abandoned. However, I played with Kenny Cannon in the Pan American Games.
Mm.
And Kenny was a stalwart. I'm telling you, we had a team, and it was a pleasure playing behind Kenny. Um, I remember Kenny getting injured in a serious injury in a match, and he was going to the clinic every day. And I think it was because of his fitness and his determination that he never missed a match. You know, Kenny, I always remember that. And then everybody was worried about Kenny. When he's going to be able to play the next match, Kenny was ready to play. And he always struck me as a very fit and knowledgeable person of the game. And it was a pleasure playing behind him and with him.
Yeah. So, Mr. Kane, you heard all that from Mr. Wainwright. Give us your opinion on Mr. Wainwright.
Well, I've always respected Dennis, and that incident is talking about. I had my shoulder dislocated. I don't know if he remembers that.
So you didn't do much furloughing after that.
I didn't. So I was out for the rest. I was out for the rest of the season.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Oh. And what about that national team that you guys played together with?
The national team was, to me, the best team I ever played with. We all had the same mindset. Whenever we played, we supported each other. If somebody was having a bad game, somebody made up for them. And like I said, it's the best team I ever played with.
Mm. Ronnie?
Yeah, just looking at some pictures of the guys you had in that team was like unbelievable. That picture should be up like in City Hall and all over Bermuda, because like people like, I mean, even another work colleague, Tinty and Clyde Bess and Pappy Deal, Neobs Lewis, that was a Bubba Daniels, that was a team that nobody in Bermuda's football circle should ever forget, because I don't think we've ever attained any success like that, even right up until today. Um, what was it like for you guys? Okay, both of you were in Triple Crown champion teams, and I believe both of you were in Triple Crown champion teams that won it 3 years in a row. I think Social Club won it 3 years in a row, did they? And I know Somerset won it 3 years in a row. So this question is to both of you. What was it like to win the Triple Crown for your clubs? An astounding 3 years in a row. What was that like?
Well,
Dennis, I'll let you go first.
for me, it was a real honor and a pleasure. You see, I was playing for Wellington Rovers, and Wellington Rovers was the third team to win the FA Trophy. I will never forget that. I had been on a cricket tour. I came back on the Thursday, and the fellows at the field took me right to the ground, took me to the in the afternoon. I had to be there in the morning, practice all morning. Which was on the Friday. The Saturday, I had to be back at Garrison. This was all on the was he's going to kick it for Virtual. He was the coach of Wellington at the time. And it pleased me because I was a person that I wanted to be the best. And I worked hard to be the best. I worked very hard. I was out running nights, midnight, early mornings, and Playing with Bellator Rose was a treat. But after a while, they stopped practicing. You know, I go to the ground and would only be three of us or four of us. They went up to RAA, you'll find them up there. This went on for 2 seasons, and I went to the meetings and I complained about it, and finally I said, look, I can't take this. On Sundays, I'm the one that's taking all the licks, diving at boots and going home with a lot of bruises because if you remember, the two hardest fields in Bermuda football was the sports arena and Garrison Field.
Mm-hmm.
And this goal Mazda was nothing but a hard surface with little rocks pointing up. And when you fell on that ground, you knew it. And I complained on a couple occasions. And then I decided, well, look, I can't take this. I went to the club and I resigned. I said, well, I'm going to stick to cricket. I was in cup match at the time. I was home 2 nights. 2 nights, with 2 practice nights. And then I got the knock on the door. It was about 3 or 4 social club members at my door. And they asked me, they heard about me leaving Wellington. And they asked me if I would come to play with them because they had a program planned. So I told them, I said, look, I would, after a long discussion, I told them I'll come out and see what your practice is like. And if I'm satisfied, then I would consider it. Which I did. I went out and one evening I watched them train. And I felt these guys are serious. So I made up my mind that I was going to play with social club. Well, I remember the days when I was in social club, the standard of training went up. Papa Daniels was fanatical. And I was just like him. So they had 2 fellas that lead the way. And we had such good players around us. We had a forward line, second to none. And we trained on a regular basis. If you saw one, you saw 3 or 4 of us going to a movie or something. We stuck together. We were at the club, playing table tennis or playing cards. But we spent a lot of time in each other's company, and so we knew each other. We knew what they thought, and on the football pitch, it was the same. The fellas knew exactly how they're going to pass the ball and how they want the ball to be passed to them. And everything seemed to go like clockwork. As it was mentioned earlier, we didn't have the coach. We had knowledgeable senior players, and one of them was Donald Dan. Donald Dan was a disciplinarian, and he believed in strict training, and he had the players that supported him. And we would train Friday nights on the road every Friday night, no excuses. And if he was playing a match at 3:15, that's the time we started our matches, 3:15. If we were supposed to be at the club at 12:30, 1 o'clock, you had to be there. You better have a good excuse why you're not there. That's the way it was. And we got so good, we felt we were so good that we could beat any team. We used to say, how many are we going to beat this team today? No matter who, whether it's a foreign team or a local team. You couldn't beat Social Club. You might beat Bermuda, but you're not going to be Social. That's the way we thought. So it was a real pleasure. And I cherish those days. Years played with Social Club, 3 consecutive seasons, undefeated. Um, it was really something, really something. And so when we had Graham Adams, when Graham Adams came here, and he said right away he had never seen so much talent in such a small community between Somerset and Social Club.
Yep.
You pick a national team. I mean, that's they were world beaters. They were world beaters, and PHC, we were world beaters. It was really, really, and I cherish those moments of those days. And I do believe, like I tell the youngsters today, nothing is accomplished unless you work hard for it. Nothing good is accomplished. And I believe in hard work in anything I do. And I brought that to my cricket. I brought that to my football. I wanted to be the best. There's no such thing as I'm just a member of the team. I am the best, and I dare anybody tell me otherwise. Because I worked hard through the week, and when I walked on that pitch on a Sunday, that's the way I felt. And I knew I wasn't the only one that felt that way.
Okay.
The players I played with, Bobby Daniels, and John Roach, and I know they felt the same way. So we had a very strong team. And I never forget this. When Somerset was on the way up, Social Club was on the way down, and we met them at PHC Stadium. And we had lost quite a few players because the Colts had formed again. And Devonshire Colts. And Somerset had players, that forward line they had, Randy Horton, Clyde Best, Jet Simmons. Oh my gracious.
Borley Smith.
Rudy Smith, right? Okay.
Borley Smith.
Rudy and Borley.
Yeah.
Oh my gracious, man.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare. They beat us 8-1.
Oh wow. Whoa.
8-1 on the left. And it was no fruit goals. There were goals. These guys were, and Somerset was the same. You looked at Somerset, same as Social Club used to be. Now the stern was unturned. They worked hard, and they on the field. It was a treat to watch. It was. Yeah. My grandson plays for Somerset now. A couple of years ago, they played a match at White Hill. Played the Eagles, and the Eagles or Devonshire Colts or what,
Eagles at White Hill.
I talked to him later, and I said, "How many people you think is there?" He said, "What 150?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm going to clip it here. Social Club playing Somerset Eagles at White Hill, 2,000 people, and that wasn't the match of the day."
Yep, exactly.
Today, people came out to watch because we were entertainers. We were rude people. We sent off. Nobody got sent off. It was sent off. You was the discipline from the clubs and from your coach was more harsh than from the referee or the BFA. Sent off. No such thing.
Yeah. Well, let us get Mr. Canny in here, Mr. Wainwright. Mr. Canny.
What was that triple like for you? Winning the Triple Crown for 3 years in a row with Somerset.
Well, let us get Mr. Canny in here, Mr. Wainwright. Mr. Canny. One sec. Mr. Canny, can you hear me?
I'm getting no sound here.
Can you hear me now? One sec. Mr. Canny, can you hear me?
No.
Okay. If you could turn off the other feed that you have, because it's interrupting your feed that we have on here. Because I can hear it in your background.
Let's see.
I better
If you could turn off the other feed that you have, because it's interrupting your feed
turn that on.
that we have on here.
Okay.
Because I can hear it in your background.
Really? Okay.
Turn it off.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I just turned it
Can you hear us now?
shut down. That might be my phone too. Phone.
Can you hear us now?
Turn it off.
Are you able to hear us now, Mr. Kent?
Oh,
Okay, he's having trouble hearing us. I'll try to contact him.
Okay.
and a laptop.
Punchy, you have a question for Mr. Wainwright?
I'm still not getting any sound.
Oh, is he? Okay, he's not getting. So yeah, from Mr. Rainwright.
Yeah.
I'm sure this question. I'm gonna ask this question before someone else. I thought I get this one in quick. Which sport did you really prefer? Which one did you? I know you're such a great cricketer also, but hands down, which one did you really would say was your number one?
To play, I would rather play cricket. To watch, I rather watch football.
Oh, okay.
Same thing now. I watch football. I don't watch cricket unless it's a test match. But that has always been to play, to walk out on that field and on a cricket day was the most.
Mm.
And it's because I played with such great players in both football and cricket that I asked myself, I asked myself whether which one, and it was because of the camaraderie of both sports that I made a decision that I'd rather play cricket, but I'd rather watch football.
Oh, okay. Okay. And the other question I want to ask you, I know there's always somebody special that you played with. I mean, I'm not trying to be biased or anybody else, but towards other teams. But who would you say was special, a special player, social club that you would say this a special player? Yeah,
This John Roach.
John Roach. And what was so special about him?
John Roach was a very quiet person. Very quiet, rarely said much. When he said something, you had to listen. You had to pay attention. And on the pitch, again, very unconcerned. But when he got that ball, so whenever I was able to receive that ball, the first person I looked for was John Roach. And he would come and receive. I throw the ball to him or kick it to him. But he was the player that I played with the social club that I felt was number one.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask Mr. Cam. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us now, Mr. Cam? Obviously not.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get him to sign back in. But Dennis, you have Brownie, you have another question for
Yes.
Mr. Wainwright?
So, Mr. Wainwright, when did you first break into the national senior national team, and just tell us what it was like to play in that final of the Pan Am Games? I do you believe you played Mexico, was it?
Yes.
Okay, so what was it? When did you first break into the national team, and just tell us a bit about that final against Mexico?
Well, I was in the sport from the time Graham Adams came here. He had Tango Burgess. What's the name from PHC?
Dogfoot.
Dogfoot.
Yeah.
And myself, 3 goalkeepers. Well, the battle was on who is going to be number 1 keeper. I'm sure it was in all of us' mind. So we all worked very hard. Graham came here and he watched us, and he came to the same conclusion with me as he had a coach that came and wanted to get us ready for Iceland, English chap, and his analysis of me was the same. I said I thought it was kind of funny. Graham said, "You know, you're really good under pressure." And I was like a wild man. You got my pound area. I'll dive at your boots. I don't care who you are. I started that diving business, and people thought I was crazy. You know, 2 things I started was throwing the ball as much as I did, and diving on boots. The Tango Burgess was exceptionally good goalkeeper, and Tango went. I think it was I don't know, was it Olympics? He went abroad with the team. I didn't go. Tango was chosen to go, and when he came back, played at National Stadium, he got injured. So I became the keeper after that. And the Pan American Games, Tango was still ill, and the 2 keepers in the Pan American Games was Dogfoot and I, and we used to alternate. And so when it came around to the semifinals, we played Barbados. Not Barbados or Trinidad, whatever. And we beat them 3-1. And they composed a song when they were playing us. But they had some Calypso singers there, and they used to sing when they were playing us. You know? And I'm sure Kenny remembers that song. Run your ass, Bermudians. Did you hear what Trinidad say? and so when we beat them, we sang the song to them. The next team was the finals, and we played Mexico in the finals, and we were going on good. I mean, everybody's played well, and Bunny Bass always talks about that every now and then when we talk about it. He remembers the goal that he missed, which we would have beat Mexico 1-0. It was seconds before the halftime whistle, and Bunny had a header. The goalkeeper was at one end, and the ball came across, and Bunny jumped up, headed the ball, and it went against the crossbar. And so we went on the break with no score. And at full time, with still no score, and a shot was taken at me, and they just turned the lights on, and it was difficult to make that transition. They like the lights, and this ball bounced up and hit me in the shoulder. And it went out and back to the player, and he scored. So Mexico is 1-0. Well, after that, our fellas seemed like they sort of eased off a bit, and they ended up beating us 4-0 in
Oh, wow.
overtime. In overtime, but we had them. It was really, really something. Graham Adams was a very strict coach, very, very strict, and he believed it. He so much so that a lot of former players labeled him as a trainer, not a coach, because he believed in physical fitness. And this is what he said when he came here. He says he had never seen so much talent in one small place, and his biggest job is to get us fit. And he really worked us. And we became very fit. Pan American Games was teams could beat us. I think the United States beat us here. We beat the United States in the Pan American Game about 6-1 or something like that. Canada couldn't beat us. Cuba couldn't beat us. We were a good team. Good team. And I'll always cherish those days. And players I played with, I compare them with the players today, and I say, no comparison. In my book, the player that stands out in my mind, and he's the number one player in my mind of all the years I played and watched her, it's George Bregman.
Mhm.
That guy, he's sweet.
Exceptional, yeah.
Yes.
So much so I call him hero. He was George Bregman very rarely got caught in possession, and seemed like he always thought 2 and 3 players ahead. When he got the ball, he didn't have to look around to find out what he's going to do with it. He had already made up his mind what he's going to do with it. And that midfield, someone's ahead, with George Bregman there. You couldn't touch it. You could not touch George Bregman.
Yeah. Let me try, Mr. King. Mr. Can you hear us now?
Nice.
Yeah.
Still can't hear us. Okay. All right. Well, let's try to continue with Mr. Wainwright.
Yeah.
Yeah, Punch.
Hey, Mr. Wainwright, tell me about I'm real good friends with Dockford. Tell me about Dockford. What was special about Dockford's goalkeeping abilities? Because people speak about him all the time also.
Yeah. Dockford was very quick, very good in the air. You know, some shots were taken, and you thought that it's in the corner. Dockford would be up there, and Dockford did something. He used to use hands that I didn't use. Like if the ball was going to his right in the corner, Dockford would dive and push the ball with his left, which was the proper thing to do. But I never could get in the habit of doing that. I always had to get my right hand up there, or both hands, you know. And that's what I admired about him. He was very, very quick, and he learned how to control his defense. We used to talk about that a lot. And he was a great addition to the national team. Great addition. And when he took over goalkeeping after Louis Boris, we always thought that, or a lot of us thought that Duckfoot couldn't get out of that position. Louis was very good, but in no time, Elson Jennings, that's his name. He was out there kicking the ball or forwards' feet when they kicked the ball too far ahead of them. He was very fast.
Oh. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're still trying to get the audio from Mr. Can. He's still unable to hear us. So earlier you was talking about the fact that you love to play cricket but enjoyed watching football. What was your transition like between the two sports when you were playing?
Well, I was Bermuda's first double international, playing both sports at the same time. And I had no problem because the man, I always felt the most important thing in sports is physical fitness. I had a brother who was fanatical in physical training. He was a bodybuilder, and he used to impress upon me the importance of being fit. And he used to lay out exercises. Um, I always remember we lived in flats. I lived with my grandmother, which was near the road on Flats Hill, and he lived over the hill on Clarendon Road. But he had a little exercise spot over my grandmother's, like in the backyard. He always had horizontal bar, parallel bars, and a couple of pulleys with rope on a tree. And I started using them. I became very good on the horizontal bar because that was the thing those days. Horizontal bar. If you saw 6 to 8 young fellas gathered in an area, you can guarantee that there was a horizontal bar there. But if you see 6 to 8 guys gathered today, what if they thought it's different?
Yeah.
Yeah, what they gathering for?
Yeah.
I remember Somerset had a horizontal bar right outside the dressing room.
Wow.
And Carl Sword was very good on the horizontal bar.
Mm.
Yeah, I also remember because I was neighbors with George Friday Bremer, and he had a horizontal bar outside his house, and he used to work out like almost every day. Like that guy was super fit, unbelievable.
That's right. And he believed in that. And George could play. He was knowledge football, cricket, and no. I mean, you could see the fitness of both. You give him the ball, the ball until you take him off.
Definitely.
No such thing as I'm tired, I want to come off. He'll bull until you took him off. Football was the same thing. He'll run. But that's the way it was those days with certain players. You know, Kenny might remember this. We had a player. I always have to laugh when I talk about it because I know people talk about me. We had a player that was player of the year in Bermuda. Top player of the year. Went to the Pan American Games and never didn't play a match.
Well,
Kenny might remember that, but not too many people remember. Not too many knew that. And that's the way it was. You were indispensable as far as Graham Adams was concerned, because all his players were fit. The whole squad. And if I didn't play, he had somebody to replace me. With other week. And this player, they'll call his name and he'd be dressed and he'd run up and walk up down the field like when he's been introduced, but never got a show. And it's not because he wasn't ready playing, but because of his behavior. Because of his behavior in Bermuda. Graham said, all right, you being a scorer, right? But you're not going to play at my score. You just don't fit in. And it was a few players that didn't fit in. Randy Horton was one of them. Gapoved, it just didn't fit in Graham's team. Graham had a team, a squad that he was in charge. And if you play his game, you were in his squad. But you start misbehaving and getting caught up in other negative things, he would deal with you. But by leaving you out of the squad, and people wonder why. How come so-and-so's not playing? It's because he fell out with the coach. And I don't know if he would have beaten Mexico. I don't know if this chap would have been playing, but he never played. Didn't play one match.
Well,
all right, fellas, I've worked out a way to get Mr. Cam back. Dennis, why don't you ask the question in which you was asking Mr. Cam to describe the Triple Crown?
Triple Crown.
Yeah. Mr.
Can you hear me?
Hear us now?
Kenny, can you hear us? Kenny?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, all
You
right.
can hear?
You can hear us now?
Yeah, he can hear us. So, Mr. Ken, the question was, can you describe what it was like to be in that Triple Crown team?
Which team?
The Somerset Triple Crown team that you won 3 years in a row.
Oh, I was very proud of our team, simply because Somerset hadn't won anything since 1949,
Oh, whoa.
and it was just a privilege to win the Triple Crown, not only once but 3 times.
Yeah.
And I think the whole community was I don't know,
Excited.
excited.
They had to close the bridge, you know. Mercy.
Let me turn my song up. Thank
They had to close the bridge, innit? Well, Dennis, you can't close the bridge if you can walk over it. Let me step over it.
Well, that was special. That must have been special, man.
you. Song. Here's another. And that,
Well, Mr. Cam, we had asked Mr. Wainwright about a special player that he played with in the social club team. So, who was a special player that you played with in any team that you played for?
Was so many.
Could imagine.
Rudy Minus. Rudy, because not only because he's a good player, he's a good friend. And you had Clive Bass, Randy Horton, George Bregman, Richard Dirt Simmons. I would say all our players. You all contribute in some way.
Uh-huh.
So go ahead, Poncho.
Okay, Dennis, go ahead.
Okay, a question for both of you guys, man, because both of you played in successful Triple Crown teams. You were successful with the national team. And then, ironically, both of you ended up being opening batsmen in cup match. So, Mr. Van, right, what was it like to be opening batsman for a cup match for the enemy? And Mr. Cam, what was it like to be opening batsman for Gord's team?
Well,
Mr. Ken, you can answer first. You know why? Because we're going to save the best for last. So, Mr. Ken, you can go first.
I can tell you, St. George's.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Well, for me, it took me a while to even get in the team. I was a reserve for 4 years. And in 66, when we played, there was something going on between the clubs and the players. We had about 6 players that decided not to play cup match. And we went to St. George's with a weekend side. And I didn't even open up in that game. I bet at number 3. But, cup match, you're nervous until you get that first ball on the bat or your first run. And, that's the way I felt.
because I believe you and Mr. Simons, Campbell Simons, shared in was it 100 run partnership one year?
146.
Okay.
hmm
That was at Somerset, right?
That was at Somerset, yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
I prepared record for you guys.
that. Yeah, thank you.
Prepared record or not, you still have to bet. And St.
Mr.
George's,
Wainwright?
St.
Yeah, what was
George's,
it like?
St. George's had scored 360
Oh,
something
wow.
runs.
Oh, wow.
So Campbell and I were on the field from 10 o'clock Thursday to about 2:30, 3 o'clock on Friday.
Okay.
Wow. Oh, that is remarkable. Very remarkable. Yeah. I was about just I'm blue and blue also.
Yeah,
I'm blue
whatever,
and blue.
whatever.
Mr. Wainwright, of course, this question might be actually anyway. What was it like when you first started being behind the stumps and Clarence Parford? Tell us about that.
well, a lot of people don't realize that Clarence came into the team. The team was already organized. We were winning. He came in the mid '60s, and we won the trophy in 1960. We won it from Somerset in 1960 with Kenny Poe, Alfred Hall, and who else was it? Kenny, Alfred, Connie Simmons. Um, that's where we won the trophy. So when Clarence came in the mid '60s, we were established here. But Clarence, when he came in the team, he couldn't go. I mean, Clarence was all over the place trying to bowl fast, and he hit me in the face a couple of times. And I said, "Oh man, go down, meet him halfway the crease, and say a few words to him, which are words I don't use today.
Yeah.
Take his time, pitch the ball up, and I said, talk with Clarence. Clarence trying to bowl fast. I mean, from school days, that's where he was. But when he got it right, when I tell him, slow down, take your time and pitch the ball up. We could get a lot of wickets. But when he got it right, oh my gracious, what a treat.
Mm.
What a treat to keep for. And Clarence knew how to bowl. He learned how to bowl. You know, he didn't care who you foreign batsman or local batsman. He knew how, he learned very quickly how to bowl you. You know, and so that was I mean, I remember we played against, I think, Yorkshire. Um, Captain who died in Barbados, came in at number 3. And Clarence was bowling, and I came up to me. He turned around and says, "Later, you can stand there." I said, "Absolutely." And Clarence was beating him left, right, and center, and I was just snatching the ball. And the last ball, Clarence bowled on the leg side. I went across, took it one hand, took off his bail, and threw the ball in the air. And he looked, he says, "Hey, you're very good, lad. Very, very good, very good." But Clarence could have played in England. He could have played. In fact, I do remember at the time Michael Stewart. He was captain. His son played for England as well. But this guy Stewart was captain. Oh, sorry. And he saw Clarence and I and shared it. And he told me, he said, you guys, if you have any ambition of playing first class cricket, give me a call. And if he couldn't set up something sessions with Surrey, he would, try to get us, introduced to other countries, because we are a gift that people would love to hear, love to see. But I was married, and I was valiant to my marriage and building and everything. Clarence had just got married, and I tried to encourage him to go take your wife, man. Let her go to school during the day, and you can be at the club practicing and making stuff ready, and you can make it in England. He didn't go. He never go. I was very disappointed that he didn't go offer. But Clarence Poppet was, in my opinion, he was the greatest bowler for my time. For my time, I mean, he could contain any backward. In the early time, I see he was roughed up. It was with Kenny Can and Campbell Simon. Early time, I haven't seen him really roughed up. Those two guys put some licks on him.
Oh,
That was something to see.
But they were a bit upset, Mr. Wainwright, that they had been in the field and conceded 360 odd runs, so it was time to give back. Am I correct, Mr. Cam?
Yeah, we put 400 in you.
But I asked Mr. Wainwright this, so I'm going to ask you the transition between playing football and playing cricket. How did you manage that for yourself?
For me, football was what got me fit for cricket. So I was leaving football and going right into cricket season.
Brown?
So a question for both of you. In both sports, football and cricket, who were probably your most difficult opponents to play against? So in cricket, as an opening batsman, who were some of the most challenging bowlers that you faced? And then in football, who were some of the opponents that you had a hard time with?
I'll let you go first, Mr. Cam.
Well, let's talk football. It would be Gapaway, Bayfield Clark. I can't think of anybody else, really.
Okay.
What about cricket?
Yeah, opening batsman, who was a challenging bowler?
The person I had more problems with was Lee Rayner. I could handle Clarence pretty well because he pitched the ball up a lot, even though he swung the ball a lot. But with Lee cutting them both ways and getting a little lift, you really had to settle in on it.
Mr. Wainwright?
Yes, and in football, I started very, very early, and you had some great players that I played against. But I played against Key West, and you came against Taunty and Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you when you think you got things covered, Bobby was in the clear, and Taunty knew how to get that ball to him, right? And then there was a chap that played for the Ramblers. Ramblers. I think the Grasshopper de Silva.
Mm.
Very tall,
Mm-hmm.
center forward, and very rough, very tough. And the guy Wheatley that played alongside him. Those two guys used to give me a lot of trouble because they knew that they were tall. Both of them were tall, and our challenge was always in the air. I had to challenge them, yeah. And cricket, this one guy, I think he only played, and I'm glad he did. Um, um, heavy guy. He's opened the border for Somerset.
Oh, Rudolph Simons.
Buckworth?
No, not Rudolph. I think he only played. He played just a couple of matches, and then we'll come to him in a minute. He used to be a bowler. In fact, he was the one I faced in my last cup match. He played for Rangers. He used to move the ball pretty good, and he was quite quick. But the fastest bowler I ever met, in my opinion, and a lot of people didn't know he even played cricket, and that was Gandhi Burgess. Gandhi Burgess was a fast bowler. Gandhi could only bowl you 5 or 6 overs. 5 or 6 overs. Oh my gracious! He was fast. He was really fast. He played. I think he played a couple of seasons with Flats, but he mostly played with St. David's. He was quick, very quick. Yeah, there was some. Pepe Hansi was another one. Pepe should have played off the set. Pepe was an off-break bowler and could really move that ball, you know. But he only played in his later years. He's a good off-break bowler. And I used to have trouble with off-break bowlers. You know, they get between my bed and pad, you know. Cut my bed out there and get between my pads. How did that ball get through there? but Pepe was very good. Very good.
Punch, I'll give you the final question.
Well, as always, I thank you guys so much for coming on the show. But my last question is always going to be about fast forwarded. Our cricket program. What is your opinion on the both of you about the direction a cricket program is in, and what state it's in? And are we headed in the right direction?
Well, with the new administrations, it's hard to say. But I often say, and I don't say it too often, but I have said it. Put somebody in charge who have been out in the middle, who knows cricket. But we put anybody in charge, and we got a president of the board don't know one side of the bet from the other.
The president's honor members. The president's honor members.
No, I'm talking about that other guy from, I think it's in football too.
You mean Lloyd Smith?
No, after Lloyd.
After Lloyd was Arnold.
No.
Let's talk about Cal. Cal's
Are you talking
minister.
you're talking about depressing the CEO?
Yeah.
Cal
Yes.
Blankendown?
Yes. Does he know anything about cricket?
Yes, of course.
By his own admission. By his own admission, he don't know anything about cricket. I said, now that's what happens in Bermuda. We put people in charge that don't have a clue. You know, so you hope for the best. You know, I'm glad Magnus is there, and I hope that he's had a lot of experience, and you cannot put somebody in charge. You only place in the world you'll find that in Bermuda. You won't find it anywhere else in the world. I used to tell Dudley Evan. I said, Dudley, and Dudley was a good administrator. I said, Dudley, you know anything I have against you being an administrator? You're sitting up in Lords with all the dignitaries, and I bet you can't find one person who's never been in the middle. Now, when they talk about the middle, what can you say? and that's always been my argument. Somebody there, this guy that they had CEO before, he did a pack on the middle cricket. I mean, he did some good things, but they made a lot of rules that prevented people who might have a desire to serve. He turned them away, didn't allow them to attend meetings and so forth. And so I just hope for the best, and I'm glad Arnold's there, and he's got a couple of people there that I hope they work together. We have a serious problem in our cricket, and I maintain that one of the weaknesses we have in our cricket, we don't have even in our schools. Who are the PE teachers? All females. You see? So how can a female turn out a good sportsman? You know, especially cricket or football. You know, so I just hope for the best. And I'm glad we got these coaches, and I hope they're sincere, that they can take up the slack that the PE teachers was unable to.
Do appreciate your view. Do appreciate your views, Mima.
Yeah. Mr. Cam?
I haven't, I've been home for quite a few years, but I've watched the national team play in these competitions, and they didn't seem to have the discipline when it came to betting or building. I don't know what the problem is, really. Number one, we can't bet spin. And I don't know what they're going to do about that. I mean, because every country that's playing cricket now carries spin bowlers. I mean, you might even have a spin bowler opening the bowler.
Yeah.
And if he can't bet,
Right.
lost.
For sure.
Well, I appreciate that opinion.
And
Thank you very much.
On top of that, I mean, when I came along we played cricket in our neighborhood. If a game wasn't played in my neighborhood, I walked to the next neighborhood and played. You know,
Yep.
you had cricket
Yep.
matches going
All
all
over.
around the neighborhood.
Yep.
Today, you don't see that.
Yep. For real.
Mhm.
So
Or
my
even
last
even
question to
foot.
these guys are
Yeah, yeah.
my last question to both of you, and I ask this to all the guests every week. Um, what advice would either of you give or both of you give to aspiring sportsmen and sportswomen to get to the next level of their discipline?
You can go ahead, Mr. Wainwright.
First of all, you have to decide. They have to decide how far they want to go and what they want to be. You see, I got sick and tired of seeing track and field, and all we talk about personal best. Other islands are competing against the world, you know, and I've questioned this, and I don't believe that we have the I don't believe that we have the quality of youngsters that could stand the training that it requires to be world class. You know, it requires a lot to be world class. Well, I'm talking about world class. You have this chap that came here,
How many are you answering on here?
In the Caribbean game. So it was Caribbean, and he
Both?
became vote.
Yeah.
You see, now votes are the exception, but he didn't just wake up one morning and decide, well, I'm gonna be the fastest person in the world. He worked hard,
Mm-hmm.
extra hard, to become the best. And this is what we have to do. You know, I'm from experience. I wanted to be the best keeper Bermuda's ever produced. And how am I going to do that? By sitting there and talking about what I like to be, or depending on my gift. No, you got to get out there and work hard. You got to get out there and work. You got to work when people are sleeping. You know, my favorite boxer. I'm sure you're Floyd Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
Check him out. His lifestyle. Floyd said his training when others are sleeping, and that's the way you have to do it if you want to be the best. You can't hope to be the best, and you know, so even in the cup match, you get guys going in the cup match. Goodness gracious, as a bowler, and you haven't taken a dozen wickets for the season, you know, and call yourself a bowler. You haven't made 50 runs in your batsman. You know, it's pitiful, and they're allowed to get away with it.
Yep.
They're allowed. I remember, and I go to George Cricket Club and sit up and watch the training session, and I tell Wendell Smith as coach, I said, Wendell, when you became St. George's first coach and you were playing, I don't think any team in the island trained as hard as St. George's. You had those guys working, working. And it showed in matches. You make 120 runs and you could defend it. But what's happening? You got all these little funny little things on the field. You're doing all little fancy little steps and all this stuff. But what happened to the hard training that you used to get the league in? Somerset's, we just allow Somerset to win the match. We're not really trying to beat Somerset. And Somerset's players, compared with St. George, they're all the same. They're no better. But it's just that the team that wants it the most. And our approach, nobody wants to be the best. Nobody was. A question was asked just now about my opening batsman. I love opening batsman. My uncle was opening batsman, right? Now with flats, I was needed for my betting. Mr. George's I needed for my keeping, so my training was entirely different when I'm getting ready for cup matches. It was for regular league play. I had to train. I couldn't afford to miss a catch or miss a chance in cup match. And I remember one time, Champon, God bless his soul, someone said that I show off. And Champon says, yes, he shows off. I showed off. And that's what people are paying to, and that's what people are paying to see.
Yep.
They come all parts of the cup match to see the outstanding players, the players that takes the game a little beyond. And that's what was my desire. And these fellows just going through the emotions and winning prizes and winning awards just for a catch. And oh my gracious. As a
Mr.
former
Cam?
player, it's torture to watch.
Yep, it is. Mr. Cam, what advice would you give to aspiring sportsmen and sportswomen who want to go to the next level?
I wholeheartedly say the same thing as Dennis. You have to decide how far you want to go in the sport. And then you have to work toward it. Self-discipline. It's the thing, it's the key. If I want to be the best open bat, I have to get out there and prepare for it. I coached kids in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They were nowhere as good as Bermuda players, but every one of them had an idea what they wanted to do. Most of the kids were into soccer to get an education.
Mm-hmm.
That was the goal. Some made it, some didn't. But that was the goal. So I'm saying to the younger players, if you want to make it in your sport, if you're thinking about going to a place like England or any other country, you're going to have to compete with thousands of players. There are thousands of people out there who want to be playing in British soccer leagues. So that gives you an idea of what you have to do.
Well, I want to thank both of you for joining us here on a walk down memory lane. I know Dennis and Punchy and myself are very appreciative of you guys taking us on your journey. And we look forward to having you back sometime soon to continue and possibly even give us more of the journey in which you guys have had in both football and cricket. And again, I want to say on behalf of both Punchy and Dennis, we appreciated everything you've done for both cup match and football for this country as being ambassadors and leaders. So for that,
Yeah, for sure,
we say good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, fellas.
Good night, and thank you very much.
Yeah.